What is up, Diskarte family? Welcome back to another episode of Diskarte with Mendy, and in this episode, we talk step by step how you can begin a YouTube channel this year, 2022. And just like any other episode, we begin with a cup of honesty. The reality is, it takes a lot of effort to get to 1,000 subscribers. But on YouTube, 1,000 is fairly difficult. On average, at least from my research, it would take you anywhere between 18 to 22 months to get to 1,000. And that's if you really employ or deploy the best Diskarte for you to get there. From a survey done by vidIQ involving 13,000 respondents, out of the 13,000, 58% of those are saying that they haven't even reached 100 subscribers. I just wanted you to understand that this game, this YouTube situation, is no walk in the park. And with that out of the way, let's get on with this episode. The first two things that you need would be a camera. A lot of people say that you don't need expensive gear to be able to start a YouTube channel. That is correct. Just make sure you are able to express your story correctly to the point that it resonates with people. So you can use your phone camera. I see a lot of vloggers that have gone from 0 to 100,000 just using their phone. So it is possible, again, as long as you're able to tell your story. Plus, you've got your editing software. Most of you probably would be on mobile. There's a lot of apps that you can use now to edit videos. The first one being, I think this is the best one on Android, and everything I've watched is really just this app, and that is CapCut. Check them out, install it, get on tutorials because apparently it's very good. I haven't used it. And then you've got InShot, which I have used. That one is really easy if you've got absolutely no experience. I think InShot would be perfect for you. And last but not least, probably the best, I used this as well for the longest time. Unfortunately, this is only for iPhone users, and that is iMovie. People have made movies out of this. People have made incredible stuff just by using iMovie. So if you're an iPhone, get iMovie. All of these are free, by the way, so head on over to your app store, download them. On to the actual number one, and that is decide on a niche that you would be happy doing. And the reason for this is because what better content can you make than something that you can already eloquently talk about, or something that you're at least very passionate about or have a very high level of interest and curiosity towards? Because obviously the more you know about something, the easier it is for you to talk about that, and the more comfortable you are in front of the camera talking about that, the easier you are in resonating to the people watching you. And the reason why you want to resonate, obviously, is that your initial subscribers need to know what they're signing up for if they are to subscribe on your channel. And that is what is important. Put something out there where you are already immediately happy doing. You don't want to get stuck in a niche where you're faking it, right? You have absolutely no idea what you're doing. You absolutely put yourself out of your comfort zone, which might be a good thing, but people will see that on video. That won't translate to a really good relationship between yourself and the people watching you, because they know that you generally are either unhappy with what you're doing or that you generally don't know what you're talking about. Having them understand who you are and what you're about will make it easier for them to feel a relationship between you, and ultimately easier for them to click the subscribe button, which is something that you should do right now. At the end of the day though, I'm not saying that your first niche, the first thing or the first type of content that you decide to put out will work. And there is a very big chance that you end up giving up on that niche. But I hope, as my subscriber, you're the type of person that really loves creating content. If you're watching this right now, you should have a high level of love for crafting content, to the point that if the first thing that you try doesn't work, you are able to pivot. And so once you've decided on a niche, number two is you practice. There's a lot of people in the comment section saying how I speak well. There's a lot of people in my circle of friends saying how natural I am in front of the camera. But the reality of the situation is I have been experimenting content creation since I was in high school, maybe even grade school. My father was really into video cams and photography, and so I had my own high-A camera. I would film myself, and this is how I got a little bit comfortable in front of the camera. Obviously, when I matured, I built inhibitions that didn't exist before, so it was a little bit difficult, but I started off on YouTube back in 2008. I was doing just weird edits of my high school friends, and also I put out some covers from 2008 to I think 2011. Yun yung usong-uso pa sila, Gabe Bondok, AJ Rafael, Passion. And so I started doing that. I learned what angles work for me through that, but I never really spoke in front of the camera. The first time and really actually vlogged was in 2016 when I put up a vlog channel, which if you want to see, actually, that's right here. That is proof that it took me a long while. And so if you want to become a quote-unquote YouTuber, think of this as a sport. The same with any sport, you have to have practice. You can't just wake up one day, decide to create content, and immediately you're fantastic. You can't be just amazing off the bat. I mean, there are outliers, but for the general population, you have to practice. At the end of the day, the point of practicing is not to be perfect. The point of practicing is just getting loose in front of the camera and building your process as to how to build your episodes, how you structure your vlogs, and overall build confidence in creating content. So now that you've practiced speaking in front of the camera, you're a little bit loose, you're a little bit comfortable, I encourage you to film your first episode. But the biggest thing that I want you to keep in mind in formulating your first episode is engagement, for the most part, is all about storytelling. Unless you're a news channel or a top 10 channel, obviously. Storytelling is the ability to tell an engaging story through organized thought, to produce content that has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And if you're on YouTube a lot and you're watching this video, you would know that there's so many videos that are practically the same. There's so many videos that are talking about the same things, and the only thing that really makes them different is how the content creator tells their story, their own style that they've developed throughout their practice, throughout their tenure as a content creator. And that is what instantaneously makes them unique. Good storytelling is what will keep your audience glued to the video, which will increase your average view duration. A little bit more on this later on. Being able to keep them engaged through great storytelling is one of the biggest factors in growing a YouTube channel. Reality is though, storytelling does take a while to learn. It takes a lot of practice, so don't be too critical on yourself if you don't get it at the right time. You'll eventually find your flow, you'll eventually build processes around how you produce your content. And so when you're coming up with your episode guideline or your lesson flow, here is a couple of tips, or really short tips actually, that I use for myself. Number one is have a hook. Talk about the end result. Talk about anything that is exciting that is within the episode. This should use up 4 to 8 seconds within your first 30 seconds. The hook typically would be the conclusion. And so the way I would write my episodes is that I would begin with the conclusion in mind, and then I would begin the story. I would face the challenge or introduce the challenge, and then I would explain overcoming the challenge, and then I will reach the outcome, making it a full circle at that point. Also, it will be great to keep in mind that when you're writing your episodes, ideally you want to blend in some YouTube shorts right for repurposing already, because once you sit down and you're filming, it'll be easier for you to have the content ready to be repurposed. Also, something that I always forget is that I forget to take a picture for the thumbnail, so don't forget that. Include that in your workflow. And last but not the least is always have a call to action on your videos, which is like and subscribe, because it does trigger them. It does remind them that, oh wait, I'm watching a video, I'm watching a channel that I potentially might want to watch a little bit more in the future. So just always have a call to action or a CTA on every single video. Now, when you're gonna upload the video, it is fairly simple in the early days. Don't make too much of a fuss on the technicalities, because there are a lot of people who talk about how technical it is uploading, because yes, it does add to your SEO, but like I said, the biggest factor really would be how you tell your story and how you present yourself in front of the camera, and how your branding begins through your videos. And so a really easy checklist for uploading the video is, number one, have a compelling title. I spend hours thinking about the title. The next up is your actual thumbnail. Make sure that you take a craft a really good thumbnail, because this is the first thing that people look at on their feed. It has to be as highly attention grabbing as it can be. Number 3 is have a decent description. Typically what I do is I write my episodes and I use what I've written down as descriptions. I just restructure them in a way where I don't give away as much. And then once I've restructured that, those same words on the description, I move that into the keywords, right? When you upload your video, you'll see that you can enter keywords. And so that typically increases your SEO score, allegedly making it easier for people to find your videos. And so obviously the easiest way to promote is through your friends, through your family, and then ideally, like I said, get shorts ready because it'll be easy to repurpose your content, put it out on other platforms. A really big trend right now is people breaking out on TikTok because it's easier to get a following there, and then they build or transfer their followers into subscribers onto YouTube. Get as omni as you can, meaning get on as many social media platforms as you can if you want, again, if you want to build it as fast as you want to. Always remember, YouTube is a game of relevancy. The more they see you on every other platform, the more they think, wow, this guy is serious. What's up with this guy? Why is he on YouTube? And then I just saw him on TikTok. Wait a minute, he's also on Instagram? That part of the content creation game is fairly difficult. It gets tiring, which is why, again, I told you, begin with something that you already know that you'll be happy doing. Number 6 is listen to the data. But I really have to ask you to tread on this lightly because as a beginner, again, you should really just be concentrating on how to build compelling content. But first one is average view duration, which is the total number of watch hours divided by the number of views. And this is really similar to number 2, which is average percentage viewed. In a nutshell, again, tread on this lightly, but in a nutshell, you want your AVD and your AVP to be as high as you can. This is the metric that tells us if people, once they click on your video, do they stick around and watch the entire thing, or do they stick around and watch 50%? Generally, anything above 60%, guys, you are amazing. But on average, ideally you get to around 45 to 50% AVP. And the third metric is your impression CTR, which generally is the metric you want to look at to figure out if your thumbnail and your title is working. Obviously that is really important because if people aren't clicking on that, then people aren't watching your video. So it'll tell you if you want or need to improve your thumbnail and your title game. Next up, we have upload frequency. Guys, I've watched so much content saying that the more videos you upload, the more views you get, or the more visible your channel gets. I asked the YouTube guys if this is true, and they said that it is not about the amount of videos that you upload, but the pace as to your upload schedule. They didn't really say this, but it was coming up as the YouTube algorithm is dependent on the behavior of people watching your videos, which means the YouTube algorithm is the hive mind. It is behaviors of people. That is why you want to have a consistent upload schedule for your subscribers to know that on a weekly, they will be watching something new from you. There will be a new piece of content for them to consume, new chismis to hear, new stories to be entertained with. And this is why I think storytelling is the most important. It is through this that people will come back and watch you again, and apparently that is the algorithm. At the end of the day, guys, having an upload schedule is really stressful. It stresses me so much knowing that I have to put out content at on a specific day. So what I've done is I just, accepted the fact that it is very difficult for my schedule to be able to upload every Thursday or every Wednesday or every whenever. So in my head, as long as I get an episode out every week, that will be enough to tell my subscribers that there is a new piece of content from me out every week, even if it is not on a specific given day. So structure for long-term consistency. Just make sure that you are happy enough to build content or craft content on a weekly and put it out on a weekly, because it is very important in building a community, engaging with your community, and building your subscriber base. And so at this point, I don't think I have to stress out what I think is really the most important thing that you have to do when building or beginning a YouTube channel. Obviously, that is storytelling and pace. Guys, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't yet, please do not hesitate to click on the subscribe button. It'll take you 1 second. You'll see more videos like this one. And also, Also, if you haven't yet, please follow me on Instagram if you can. I know it'll take more time and just clicking the subscribe button, so just click the subscribe button. That's it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and as I always say at the end of every episode, keep healthy, stay humble, and appreciate the small things. My name is Mendy, and this has been Diskarte with Mendy.
I need everything for the everything. If I with you, get a different rate. Got me